Lunch at Woolworth by Gloria Harris. As news of the first sit-in spread, students organized shifts so that they could join in without missing classes. It came as no surprise when the waitress refused to serve Joseph McNeil, David Richmond, Ezell Blair Jr., and Franklin McCain. The 4 African-American men sat down at the Woolworth's lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina, on February 1, 1960, and requested service. In many places in the South, blacks could shop at most stores, but they couldn't eat at the lunch counters in those stores. These college students from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical College knew the law, but they had decided to take action against the injustice. The 4 young men refused to leave their seats until they had been served at the counter or until the store closed. Woolworth's closed with the students still waiting. While this sit-in was not the first, it was the most significant as it sparked a mass student movement. More students show up the next day when the Greensboro 4, as these men became known, returned to Woolworth's to try again. As the days turned into weeks, the number of protesters swelled. The students were peaceful but determined. They requested service at the counter, and when they did not get it, they remained seated quietly until fellow protesters relieved them or the store closed. Many of the students brought homework or books to read. Although the protesters remained nonviolent, white onlookers did not. When television cameras showed well-dressed, polite young men and women being pulled off stools, spat on, kicked, burned with cigarettes, and called ugly names, the outpouring of support from students, both black and white, in northern and southern colleges was overwhelming. News of the sit-in in Greensboro spread like wildfire. In less than 2 weeks, college students all over the South started their own sit-ins. Within 18 months, nearly 70,000 students had participated in similar protests. In addition, people began to form picket lines at sister stores in the North to protest those businesses' segregated policies in the South. The sit-in movement also won support from older established civil rights organizations such as the Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC. CORE sent a representative to Greensboro to provide training for the students, which included role-playing based on simple rules of conduct. Do show yourself friendly at all times. Do sit straight and face the counter. Don't strike back if attacked. Don't laugh. Don't hold conversations. CORE field workers provided training throughout the sit-in movement, while the NAACP's Legal Defense and Education Fund provided lawyers and bail money as hundreds of students were arrested for trespassing, disturbing the peace, unlawful assembly, and disobeying police orders to move from their seats. Some students refused to pay fines and served jail sentences instead. The SCLC provided support for the sit-in movement under the direction of Ella Baker. Baker organized the first sit-in leadership conference on April 15, 1960, at Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina. She invited students from 40 southern colleges and 19 northern campuses to come listen to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. share his message of nonviolence. Inspired by King's words and encouraged by Baker, who supported a grassroots movement that was organized and led by students, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the SNCC, was born. The group adopted a policy of achieving racial equality through nonviolent protest. It participated in a number of sit-ins and also would breathe new life into the Freedom Rides a year later. As stores closed temporarily to avoid dealing with the sit-ins, and as businesses suffered because customers stayed away, these peaceful student-led protests met with success. By the fall of 1960, lunch counters in almost 100 southern cities were desegregated. Other sit-ins desegregated movie theaters, amusement parks, and hotels. Wait-ins desegregated beaches. Read-ins desegregated libraries. Although the sit-ins did not guarantee all rights for African Americans, they did show a younger generation of civil rights protesters what could be accomplished when people took a stand and worked together.